Assalamualaikum and hi together with us in Syok Podcast with me, Ira.
And Mio.
Also together with our special guest, Dr. Muhammad Razif Shah Muhammad Rafiq, who is the head of Center of Education in Communication and Multimedia. So, Mio, what is our topic for today?
So our topic for today is we will ask our guests about how new media play their role in our country. So Doctor, can I ask you, in terms of politics, how has new media influenced the political scene in Malaysia?
Okay, hi Ira, hi Mio. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me and giving me a chance to sit down with you today and discuss with you or talk to you about new media and its impact or effect how they have towards our country. And I think the first thing that we want to look at is the impact towards new media in the country. I mean, towards the political aspect of it. Now, actually, new media is not new media. The term new media itself, it's very, very subjective. It's very, very wide. Whatever it's new, we consider it under new media. And if we look at the country, if we look at the political aspect of the country, you can see the change of media from traditional going to digital media. And with the introduction of internet in 1995 in the country, after that we can see there is a change of paradigm. I mean, moving from traditional to digital. And one of the first initial starting where we had a huge new media, the medium of new media, which has a huge impact towards the political aspect, is you can see with the establishment of blog, because blog was developed and was available. So that became a source for the public or society or netizen. Once they come up, they can voice out they can write, they can voice out their opinion, they can share their opinion. So when it was established and it was started to use in Malaysia in 2004, you can see after 4 years when the general election was held in 2008, after that in 2013, you can see a shift. Why? Because the use of social media started with blog and then Facebook coming in 2008 and 2009, and you can see there's a change. Because why? The use of new media mediums like this, like blogs, like social media like Facebook, it's not regulated. Traditionally, we only have newspapers, TV, radio. These are all regulated, right? These are all regulated. These are all controlled
by the government.
Yes, they are controlled. They have some certain laws that we have to follow, and then they also have gatekeepers. These are the individuals who are in charge of controlling the news or the information which goes out to the society. But when we had internet and then we had blogs and we had social media like Facebook and everything, it is not regulated. And then if we look from the law per se as well, there is no specific law governing the use of internet, I mean social media and everything. What happened is when they write, they will be charged. When they write and they go against if they touch on sensitive issues or part and everything, then yes, they'll be charged under sedition or maybe under copyright law. Defamation. But specifically, there's no. We only have MCMC who's only regulating the use of internet. So from there, you can see how the medium which was developed, especially how it's changing. And if you look at the trend today, from blog going to Facebook, and then now we also have visual aspect more, which is Instagram. And then towards the end, when we started COVID and everything, TikTok was introduced and it became a medium. So here you can see the development of all of this medium of new media and how they change the landscape. And you can see a lot of more public society or netizen, they start to voice out their opinions.
So basically, there's a private company. So how the government control the private company for the new media?
I mean, if it's the main thing is we can't control the internet. We can't regulate on the internet because internet is very, very much open, and that's the source of all of these new media applications or social networking sites. so they can't control much. But there are some certain countries, like not in Malaysia. Example, if you go to China, they ban Facebook. You can't use at all. But in Malaysia, because in line with the Article 10 of the Federal Constitution, where every particular individual has the you have the three things that you can follow it. It means you have the freedom of to voice your expression. But again, when we have to understand as well, when we have those particular laws, we have the freedom of expression, but freedom of expression also, it's within the means of law. A lot of them you hear, they will talk about freedom of expression. We have freedom of expression. Yes, we have freedom of expression. We can follow, we have the freedom, but it should be within the means. You should not touch on sensitive stuff and everything. I mean, in terms of that, there's not much. But lately, with the latest government, you can see when there are some certain videos of which are being blocked and everything, the Minister of Information, he called out some of the creators from TikTok and everything. So now we see, but before that, no, there's not much. It's not being much, because from what I know, it's not being regulated at all.
Hi everyone, so today we are going to ask people about new media, if they know about new media. Alright, come on. Do you know about what is new media?
New media, it's like an apps, right?
Yes, okay.
Do you know what is new media?
New media is like the new platform. I mean, it's kind of different between the old traditional media, which is like newspaper, television, and like the new media is like, you know, the current, the smartphone, the social media, and so on.
And then what type of new media that you use?
I use WhatsApp, Instagram, TikTok.
Well, there's a lot.
Yeah.
So next question, what type of new media that you use?
For me, I use social media like Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, as well, also known as X.
Do you think new media is important for you in your life?
I think new media is something important this nowadays because we get information mostly from new media.
I think new media is important.
Yes, it's very important, you know, because the current technology is evolving around the world, and it's evolving. I think it's we must, you know, to get know the new media, because or otherwise we will be left behind.
Alright, thank you.
We are back in our podcast. So just now, Doctor just explained how new media affect our political scene in Malaysia.
Yeah.
So Ira, what do you think about education?
So basically, I am pretty sure that all of us are aware of new media is the largest and the modern technology in education. Not even in education, like in the world. So I would like to ask Doctor, how is the new media changing the landscape of education, both in traditional classroom and online learning environments?
Alright, thanks Ira. I think we can see there's a huge difference, and there's a huge paradigm shift in education as well. It was a shock, and it was also like an overnight change, especially during late of 2019 and in the early of the year 2020, where COVID happened. And because of COVID, there was an overnight shift, because everyone is confined to their homes. They can't move out, they can't go, so kids can't go to school. Even university students can't go to university. So that's a huge problem. So it was an overnight change for everything in Malaysia, and you see how there are a lot of applications or software which is available that they start to use and they start to communicate. I mean, early on everyone was stuck at home, we can't do, but because of some certain technologies which is available and being made available by some of the platforms, huge platforms like Google. They developed Google Meet, and it was also used, and there's a lot of many different functions in Google as well, which was used in education. I mean, that was very, very helpful, and you can see how new media has changed. But the thing is, to use all of these applications and everything, we need access to internet, we need to have computers, and then computers you need to have cameras and everything, so that the kids can have access as well, and the teachers or the lecturers who are teaching students, they can see their students as well. I mean, throughout time it changed, and you can see the huge impact, because before that a lot of people were still skeptical. I mean, it was only used when it's very, very much necessary, when we use new media applications. Example, for interview, or when you reach someone who's outside, or let's say you're based in another country and you do that, and we use only that particular form of video conferencing, and it was also called video conferencing at that particular time, and the tools and hardwares were very expensive. But again, with the establishment by Google, they develop all of these different sets of aspects, I mean, which is good. And you see now everything has changed, and it's also good as well, because it's only not good for full-time students for university, it's also good for part-time students who are distant learners. I mean, they can't be here, but they are more outside, and they can be anywhere. So now there is no boundary. So the you can see the impact of new media applications, and how we help to minimize the boundaries, so we are limitless, so it's much more easier.
Okay. Is it possible, like, do you feel struggle as a lecturer when during the COVID-19 we having most of the physical class, and then suddenly we turn to the online class? Do you feel like macam, oh, this is so hard to use the technologies and so on?
I mean, for me, it was okay. I really like the Google application, especially when they have like Google Meet. And then the thing that I like the most is Google Classroom. I mean, before COVID, I was not aware of that, but when COVID happened, it's much more easier. Right now, I fully utilize Google Classroom, for example, and it's very, very good. For me, I think that's not a struggle. I did not struggle much, because I'm already aware of technology. I know how to use technology. I know how to use all the tools. Maybe for some senior lecturers who are somewhat older, who are not proficient enough with handling the tools, then yes. But only setback is, especially for, I mean, using the tools is fine. I got no issues by using the tools, which is much more easier. But only thing is, when it comes to like subjects when we need to teach them how to draw, we need to teach them how to develop games and everything, and then developing animation, I mean, face to face is much more easier, because sometimes students, they don't understand what we are trying to say. So we need to explain, and then we need to draw, we need to sit with them. So I mean, those were some of the setbacks. But by using the tools, I think no, not issue. It's more towards the communication aspect of it, and the understanding of the students. That means, do they understand, and they can use it during that particular period of time. And student also, I think they had more problem in terms of communicating. So those were some of the issues.
But you prefer online class or physical class?
I prefer, for me personally, I prefer physical class, because my classes are all skill classes. So I still prefer physical classes, but I do mix. I mean, I do physical classes. I like face-to-face classes, but the I mean, like for new media part, in terms of Google Classroom, for the stuff that I need to develop, I mean, like books, I need to share videos, slides and everything. It's much more easier when I have Google Classroom. So I created everything, and I can share it, and I don't need, and I just need to update only. So it's much more easier. I mean, for things that I need to use to teach, it's much more easier. It's available there. So for that, yes. But when teaching, I prefer face-to-face. It's much more easier.
So honestly, I agree with your answer. Where you're saying that technology is put us in the spot of the easy to studies. So basically, for me as a student, I prefer for the online class basically. So basically, like,
Well, online class you don't understand much. For me, I more focus on physical class.
I mean,
yeah,
students,
but
they prefer.
you come to class very late, right?
I come late, but I understand
I say I like the online platform because we can sleep lah basically.
Yeah, that's the setback. I mean, we have pros and cons. I mean, it's good to use this particular platform. For students, yes, I know most of the students, they prefer it online, because they don't need to move, they don't need to get ready. They can just sit and confined within their rooms. Sometimes they're lazy to wake up and everything.
Also, they need to face the jam. The jam is so Don't so I don't
that,
say that.
That's
Say
part and parcel of learning and everything. You go through that. I mean, which is normal lah. But for us, I mean, as a lecturer, I prefer face to face. It's much more easier. Then we can sit down, we can develop, work with students. The physical touch is much more better. The understanding, when we can see, we can show, we can draw directly in front of the student, we can show them. This is much more easier. That's what I mean.
I think Doctor already answered enough. So we will be right back. Stay tuned, guys. We are back in our podcast. So just now, Doctor has explained about how new media affect our political scene, our educational scene in Malaysia. So now, sir, if you are well aware in how news has changed from traditional news, and now we went to new media. So there is a lot of we call it citizen journalists. So what do you think about that?
Okay, it is true. There's a lot of huge changes happening because of new media to the news as well. Because as you can see, as earlier as explained as well, before this news is controlled by the government, and we have some certain companies who only produce news, right? But now, because with the availability of social media, especially, there are a lot of citizen journalists. Alright, so that's why you can see a lot of things being posted, whether it's being written. Suddenly, out of nowhere, there's a lot of netizens become expert in many different sorts of fields. They like to post, they like to comment, and then there are a lot of also netizens who record and they straight upload those particular videos. I mean, those are some of the things. Yes, we have this particular context of citizen journalists, and also in Malaysian media as well, especially if you look at Malaysian Kini, they started the idea of developing citizen journalists since 2008.
2008.
Yeah, so they started with that idea with citizen journalists, and they want citizens to become journalists to help part of their news department. But today, if you look at netizens as well, a lot of people are writing a lot of stuff. A lot of netizens are posting a lot of stuff. They're sharing videos and everything without understanding the impact and effect of it. So those is one of the most important thing that we need to know. And then a lot of people do not understand ethics. Because when we use social media, you must be ethical. You must know what can be published, what can't be published. You have to know what can be written, what can't be written. So those are some of the things which is very, very important. That's why you see there are a lot of cases where some netizens, they comment about religion, they comment about races, and then they comment about the Raja-Raja Melayu, which is, I think, we should not touch. So because of that, that creates hatred. So those are some of the things. That's why it's very, very important. If we want to become citizen journalists as well, we need to understand how or what can we do. We need to understand ethics as well. We can't just simply post and just simply air whatever we feel like we want to talk about, right? So there are many different examples as well. You can see suddenly, as I said, there's now a lot of people being expert in it. But you can see the paradigm has shifted, it has changed, and you can see how new media are changing a lot of people. Right?
That is the difference between citizen journalists and professional journalists.
Yep.
So, sir, sorry. So, Doctor, when there is a lot of citizen journalists, there is also a huge possibility to us receive fake news.
Yep.
So, what do you think about that, and how we want to prevent it?
And the false news spreading more, is growing particularly more, especially during the COVID-19.
It's spreading faster.
Yeah, I mean news, they send news and everything. Yes, I think it's a great. A lot of Malaysian people, especially Malaysian and netizen as well, what we do is when we receive information, we do not check.
Yeah.
We do not verify those particular information. So as a citizen, you must be smart and you must know what you get, what is being passed around. You need to verify it. The problem with Malaysian citizen or netizen is whatever we see, we believe straight. So we tend to believe, oh, this is without verifying facts. So that is actually a worrying thing, because a lot of people believe, and that create, or based on that, they create their assumptions and they think that something is right, might be wrong. Like you said, during COVID and everything, especially with the vaccine. So a lot of issues people take, if you take vaccine, after 2 years you will die, blah 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 blah. It's not good, it will have impact and everything. I mean, we have to understand, vaccine, yes, whether it's something is good, it's to combat that particular virus, but we have to understand as well, a lot of people have different, our body is different, it's not the same. So you might have isolated cases, which is, I think, common, right? So because they are not creating a vaccine for many different types of people, they're doing it generally for the whole population. So again, that's why we need to check, we need to verify information. That's why there's a lot of fake news. People tend to create a lot of fake news. That's why you have to understand, when you search for information as well, not only receiving through WhatsApp and social media as well, that's why you have to understand, when you check, when you read, whether it's from reputable sources, whether it comes from the media, whether we check, we need to verify all of that. That is not being done by most of the netizens. That's why we have a lot of fake news, and then we need time also, the professionals, especially the media, and then also like government, the ministers, sometimes they have to put things into, they have to spend more time just to rectify those stuff, which is actually wasting time, because we should do our own checks on whether this information is correct or not, whether it comes from reputable sources or not, which is common. I mean, that's another particular issue, but you can't do anything about that because that's part of the culture. So that's another particular issue. And sometimes when you explain to the public and everything, when you talk with them, if they believe A is A, then it's A is A. So you can't do much about that culture.
Honestly, I agree all of the answer, because there's
Do you familiar with Twitter? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
XX.
XX.
They change
X now.
already to X
It's
now.
not a Twitter anymore.
I think I always like confused with Harakah Daily and Harakat Daily. Because something, this Harakat Daily, the fake one,
Same like bernama, you have bermana.
yeah.
So that's why you need to check. And these not reputable sources, what they do is they try to poke fun to everyone. They just create something which they can have fun with.
But
So that's why it's very, very important to verify and check the information that they get. So that's very, very important.
Because sometimes there's people that they trust it easily.
Yeah, true. Because
It's
we
like
have
they
been,
say, we tend
like,
to
I
believe
mean,
what
no,
we see.
the netizen or Malaysian people, I mean generally everyone, we look at media and we start to believe.
Yeah.
Whatever comes out from the media, we believe that is true, that is correct. And we take that thing from traditionally now even to digital media, we still believe. When someone writes about A, we agree with it,
So
without
to me-
knowing that that is their background. They are not speaking, they are not an expert in the field, but they are talking about that. So those are some of the particular issues that we need to combat as well.
So to me, like, honestly, most of my aunties tend to believe what they saw, like, when they see, especially in the Facebook, you know, there's a lot of news, like, for example, the kiamat will be this time. So they was like, oh, prepare your taubat, blah 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 blah. So I was like,
Trust me, bro.
yeah. So it's very a lot of
Fake news.
cons like that.
That's why I said you have to understand the culture of Malaysian people. It's very, very hard to change that, because that's what they start to do. They start to think, and they use the same thing in a different context. They try to apply in this particular context. From reputable sources, media purpose, we use the same context into this social media. But where in social media, you have to understand whether you can believe it or not. So we have to know.
Okay, Doctor. So we are almost to the end of our podcast segment, and we have been talking a lot actually in political, education and news about pros and cons and the impact also. So thank you so much to Dr. Razif
No worries, you're
because be a guest for today, and we learned so much today about a new media. So thank you and goodbye everyone. See you when I see you. Assalamualaikum.